NoDQ.com. NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com.
NoDQ.com. NoDQ.com.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to episode number 956 of NoDQ Video here on the YouTube channel. If you would like to watch the full-length version, head over to NoDQ.com. There will be a link in the description box, and I will be discussing several topics today, but the full-length video is about 20 minutes in length. A lot of topics covered on that full-length video, but if you don't have the time, you're not able to do so, we got the shorter version here, so let's get started with your questions. First one comes from Celtics in 7. Hey Aaron, I think Miz should beat Dean Ambrose next week, then Dean should become the #1 contender and face Brock Lesnar. Your thoughts? I am not a fan of this idea for a few reasons. Number one, we already saw Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose. Lesnar destroyed him. I have no desire to see those two go at it again. And I think it's a safe assumption that Ambrose would lose to Lesnar. Not a fan of it. The other reason is I want to see some fresh matchups. I want to see Lesnar in there with somebody he hasn't faced. And on top of that, I would like to see people that are supposed to be getting Universal title rematches get their rematches. Guys like Finn Balor, who never got his rematch for the title when he never lost it in the first place. Finn Balor should be getting the title shot. As far as candidates to face Brock Lesnar next, it should be Finn Balor. Finn Balor is entitled in the storyline to a Universal title match. I think it should be him as far as who should be Brock Lesnar's next opponent. Seth Rollins is another guy that you could argue deserves a title match, and we never really saw a decisive finish to Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. They had that match 2 years ago that was interrupted by The Undertaker. We haven't seen them have a decisive one-on-one match at this point. And the triple threat at the Royal Rumble a few years back was awesome with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar and John Cena. I would be totally cool with Lesnar versus Rollins. I think it should be either Balor or Rollins as Lesnar's next opponent, with Strowman being injured. This one comes from Mr. Yuck. In what capacity or role will Triple H and or Stephanie play when either or both returns to TV? Probably exactly the same thing that we've seen from them. My guess is Stephanie will come back and resume her role as the authority figure. Honestly, I have not missed Stephanie as a TV character one bit. I think it's totally unnecessary to bring her back, but my gut feeling is it will happen very soon because of the fact that ratings have been down, viewership is down, and whenever that happens, WWE's answer is, oh, we must need more of the McMahons on television. McMahons equal ratings. And of course, Stephanie looked bad at WrestleMania, and you have to think, looking at her ego, that she's got to come back and be a force to be reckoned with. She can't just wither away because of what Seth Rollins did to her at WrestleMania. I would not be surprised if at Extreme Rules she returns and interferes and costs Rollins the match against Samoa Joe. I could definitely see something like that happening. I think we will see her back relatively soon. As far as Triple H goes, I don't necessarily think we'll see him back soon. Triple H seems to be happy doing his thing with NXT, and he'll come back for major storylines. He'll come back if there's really a good reason for him to come back. But beyond that, I think it'll just mainly be Stephanie that we see on television, and just more of what we've seen from her over the past several years. This one comes from Steven Joshua. What's the likelihood of a feud between Triple H representing Raw versus Shane for SmackDown? Possibly Survivor Series or WrestleMania 34? If you want to believe the reports out there, Triple H does not want to work with Shane McMahon, and there's still some bad blood between the two of them because of real life politics. Now, if it's good for business, I could see both of them being willing to work together. The question is, will the writers decide to go in that direction? If you're going to do Raw versus SmackDown and something like that for Survivor Series, and quite frankly, I think it's better to do for Survivor Series the concept of Raw versus SmackDown and maybe do a big Survivor Series style match, but actually have something important on the line. I would like that idea, and it would make sense to have Triple H captain one team and Shane captain the other team, although Triple H isn't in the same role as Shane. I think it would make more sense to do Stephanie versus Shane at Survivor Series, but again, do we really want to see that? It's just more of what we've seen before, and it's the McMahons hogging the spotlight and that sort of thing. So do we really need it? I mean, I would not have a problem with it, but I'm not exactly jumping for joy at the idea of that match. So will we ever see Shane versus Triple H? Maybe at WrestleMania? I would definitely not rule it out, but I think a lot of it will depend on what the writers come up with, and if there's a storyline that Triple H feels is compelling enough for WrestleMania. I could see it happening, but I think it's really 50-50. It might happen, it might not happen. This one comes from Gerson Mendez. Hey Aaron, do you think Rusev will be SmackDown's Strowman? Here's what I think about Rusev on the SmackDown brand.